of course, help us out not only by just petitions, but by understanding what the movement is, what it's all about, and of course, trying to spread that goodness here. So, thank you, Amy, for coming in. It's absolutely great to have you here on a Tuesday. So, without further ado, Amy, introduce yourself and a little bit about Keep Our Vets Housed and what it is you do.
I had to re-download TikTok for you, bud. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. What's
Okay,
up?
because
Can you
I'm
hear me okay out there? Yeah, everybody can hear you loud and clear. Let's
okay,
go.
good, because I'm having sound issues. I can't even barely hear you.
Turn your volume up.
It's all the way up.
Stop lying.
I am sick, so I'm doing the best I can. So I am just the founder of the nonprofit Keep Our Vets Housed. You guys should all remember when amazing Trip and Becca got the signatures for us on the first petition. If it were not for them, we would not have gotten as far as we did. In fact, I blame them for everything because we probably would have been sinking without them. But they kind of gave us a little bit of a boost, and we held on. And of course, last April, we became a nonprofit. We're now in the process of filing the paperwork for 501c3. So that is exciting. But we have a lot of work to do. And my worst nightmare came true when the other day I was getting ready to fall asleep and I had this weird like feeling and flash. You guys probably have had that before where like words or pictures come in front of your face. So I sat up and I Googled foreclosures, VA, VAST program, and bankruptcy. And lo and behold, everything that we have been saying for years has come true. The VAST program is a sham. It's not going to help more than 1% of the veteran homeowners in this country. And then the VASP, VASP, if you guys Google it, you can read all about it. It is the answer that the government had to the pressure from NPR news reports that were, telling everybody what we were telling you guys, which was, we're going to be homeless. We're going to lose our houses because the government isn't doing anything. Not that we expect them to save us anyway, right? But so that program is the answer to the COVID pandemic and all of the forbearances. I think there were 4, but I want to say that there were 5. I was trying to do the math in my head as far as what we owe. So I know for sure there were 4 extensions from the time that they first shut everything down and were starting it until when this administration took over and did an additional 1, if not 2 more. I see a Roger. Extensions. So what happened is May 31st, we told you guys that was doomsday because that was when the moratorium was supposed to end, and it did. But they then extended it till December 31st and then highly encouraged lenders and investors to come up with a plan to address the fact that we now were going to have veterans with these mortgages that were going to have to come due. And way too many veterans have been lied to. We've had so many come into my live where they have said, we didn't even know we were on the forbearance plan. I don't know how much of that I believe, only because if you're not paying your mortgage, somebody else has got to be, right? Otherwise, it's just going behind. So that is what that program was. It is their answer to it. And if you read all about it, which it sounded good at first, by paper it should be good. But then read what I read about the eligibility requirements, because that is where I now realize we're done. Like there is no way we're going to have a home, because they have put in the criteria that if you are one of the now hundreds of thousands of veteran families that have filed bankruptcy, Chapter 13, so that you can stop the foreclosure proceeding and repay your debts and get caught up, which is a good thing, right? It's supposed to be a last resort because it does take a toll on your credit, but you're repaying back your debts. And if that is your last option, then that's supposed to be a good thing. But they specifically now have it written that if you are in active bankruptcy, you are not eligible for that program.
When did that take effect?
That took effect. It doesn't say when they decided that. That is what they have put into that vast program. I can't find where they came to where that was added, because originally they didn't have any eligibility. In fact, the original wording of the program was that they were going to let lenders decide, in addition to the general programs that everyone gets offered, whether it's conventional or veteran, if you didn't qualify for those, which includes surrendering your house, deed in lieu, short sale, forbearance, or loan modification. That's the general things, right? But if you don't qualify for any of these, which if you're so behind, like most of these now are, and your income is just now starting to go up because you lost your job during the pandemic, or maybe like what most of our personal veterans that have come into my life have, they have had house repairs, emergencies, children with disabilities that they've been diagnosed with. So when those emergencies pop up, they're behind. So if you're behind and you're not able to get your income up, and then they put that inclusion into it, you're screwed. The other part of that is just nauseating is that they specifically put in that you have had to rectify the reason that you're defaulting, that you're going to be foreclosed on. 99.9% of these veteran families are in this situation not because, yay! Not because they didn't pay their bills or have a house they can't afford, right? But because of the pandemic. So how are we supposed to rectify the pandemic? I didn't start it. You didn't start it. So how is it that we're now in trouble because of that? But we're supposed to somehow rectify that. So that is where we're at. My answer was I spent 3 hours drafting a bill that I put on the petition. It was the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. I knew it would be hard, and I suck with words. But if you read the petition, it literally is just the bill. There's nothing else there. That is the bill that we need to get before Congress. And in order to do that, we have less than 16 days before they go on their fabulous holidays and they get to go on vacation. Because January 1st, this is over. Lenders are going to start foreclosing. And we're looking at almost a million defaulted mortgages that are going to pop.
So I just want to be real clear. If we don't get enough signatures prior to them going into the holiday, everything stops and these foreclosures will take place.
Yes, they're going to take place as of January 1st. If we do not get, because there's nobody else that is doing this. Nobody else is aware of the problem, and if they are, they don't see how it affects them. So until we get a bill in place where the wording in it, if you read it, we are demanding that they halt all veteran foreclosures, because I'm not stupid. I do know that there are people that are veterans that maybe do have a house that they can't afford anymore, but they don't need to be foreclosed on. They need debt and financial management, right? But they need to have programs in place to be able to do that, and they don't have them. And the few that do exist in some states are underfunded. So if we don't do anything, then yes, January 1st, lenders are going to go ahead and they're going to go down those little programs that they're allowed to offer in the loss mitigation packet. And if you qualify for any of those, yay, right? If you do not, then you are done. There is no other option except for bankruptcy. And as many of the families have already filed, so they have to wait 7 years before they can file again. If we don't get 1,000 signatures, I'm still going to push it through, but then we're going to have to go from, I think we actually should set a timeline. I think if we don't get 1,000 signatures by the end of this coming weekend, then what we need to do is we need to still push for it. But then what I'm going to ask people to do is to download the dang thing and to send it to their representatives in their states. Because if we keep putting it before them, they can't keep ignoring it, and someone is going to have to pick it up. Either way, this has to be put in place before the 1st. It actually needs to be put in before Congress before they even get ready to go. And be honest, do you think that the week before that they're going to do any kind of work? Because I don't think so. Pappy doesn't think so.
That's correct. You said that they can download it. Are you talking about the bill that you wrote?
Yes.
Okay, where can they download this?
They're going to be able to do that if I can get Pappy to put it in a blog post. I think I already did, but I want it separate just so people can hit download. It is in the blog post that I connected the petition to. Otherwise, you can cheat and just right-click, copy, and paste it into a Word file. But I'm going to see if Pappy will do that tonight, if he can get it so they can just hit download, because the more people we get to download and get it out there, signatures or not, the more they're going to see that this is what we want. We need the representatives to have it in their hand. And most representatives will not give you the time of day unless you're in their voting district. That's the wall that I keep hitting.
Yeah, but if more people are aware of the issue, they can bring it to their representatives so that way they can actually do something.
Yes, that is the plan.
I want to back up a little bit here. Can you tell us really what got you started in trying to establish a foundation specifically for keeping our veterans in their homes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I forget that because I've told the story so many times that people are actually tired of me repeating myself. So we were active duty until the spring of 2014. We were coming up on higher tenure and had put in 8 years of service. So knowing that we were coming up on higher tenure, we were looking at options, right? We had different plans that we were going to go do different things. And so we were looking at what we were going to do from there. He had gotten the job offer of a lifetime, right? It was a dream job for the DOD on the same base. It netted 1,000 take home every single week. So when you look at what we made in active duty and that pay, of course we're going to come off active duty and we're going to do what we can to get into it. So we had to quickly find a house, close on it, turn in the keys to the base housing, and start our new life. And we did that all within a couple of months. August of 2014, he took the job officially. He started working. We closed on the house, and we thought things were going to be good. By November, he had gone to work one day, and he leaves, it's 2 hours away. And he came home just a few hours later because they let him go. And I knew something was wrong, but I was not aware that we were going to have the problems that we were going to have. So he tells me they let him go. They did not have another position, that the excuse that they had given him was bullshit, but that he needed to figure this out and see what we could do. We made it through 18 months on our own with only unemployment and his 60% disability, which in LA County is hard enough. This county is one of the most expensive counties here. So we fought tooth and nail for 18 months to keep it paid, and we were current all on our own. And then by January of the following year, we went to the mortgage company again and said, look, we are now out. What are we going to do? And it was during that time that I started doing research on programs. I was trying so hard to find anything that we could apply for, anything that we could do to help ourselves. Because as most veterans go, we don't ask for help. We have to help ourselves. That's just what we're used to. It's the pride thing. It's the independent thing. And nobody wants their family to suffer. I started seeing these big holes in either A, a lack of programs that exist, or B, underfunded programs that do exist, or C, civilians running these programs that had no idea how to answer questions that even I had answers to. So I, right away, early on, back in August of 2014, started running a Facebook page that was just supposed to be an awareness page. I told our story from day one. I wanted people to know we didn't do anything wrong. We're not lazy. We were paying our bills. We were trying everything that we could do. But that every email, every phone call, everywhere I looked, there was nothing, absolutely nothing. So we spent all that time trying to find help, trying to find answers. The GoFundMe page never even got a share for 6 years because people just didn't care. If it doesn't affect them, they don't care. So they just let it sit. We didn't even really want the money, even though we needed it. We just wanted the story to get out there because I was trying to show people that this was something that was going to be a problem. I did not know, I could not have known that the pandemic was going to take everything that I had found and make it come true. And sure enough, it did. Because the moment that the country shut down and jobs started going, under, and people started losing family members and debt started racking up, shut-offs started coming, and until they started to try and tackle that and pause those things and put in the forbearances, I couldn't have known that we were going to have up to 1 million families facing what we were. Most all of these families didn't do anything. They're just trying to recover from the pandemic that they're still not recovering from because financially and debt-wise, they haven't had the options. If you're a veteran, there are so many predatory scams and businesses that are taking advantage of these veterans and their attempt to increase their benefits. It's insane. And so without proper information and without support in the community on a national level, all of the wrong information is filtering in. And most of these veterans don't even know their rights. Every live, I have to stop what I'm doing and explain what something is or what their actual rights are. And Pappy will agree. We've had several come in that have said, our lender told us this. And I'm like, no, they can't tell you that. But they know that these people don't know their rights, and so they can get away with it. It's not even illegal, it's just unethical. And until hundreds of thousands are complaining, that's where we end up, having those lawsuits that we're seeing now against these lenders. But that's originally what started it. So my family is heavily invested into this foundation as a whole. It literally is the poster child for everything that has gone wrong, which is why I have such a hard time with people arguing with me. I'm living it. And now so many others are living it.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
As you're living through this and living proof of what benefits look and seem like scams, um, why is it that you find it so hard for other veterans to speak up and bring these stories to fruition, especially if what you're saying is there's so many about to be foreclosed upon? How come we don't hear anything about this?
It's that my son, I wish he would answer that question because he's the prime example. It is humiliating to have given so much and worked so hard to build a home, not a house, but a home, and to not be able to take care of your family. The way that society has been, and most of the veterans that are in my life agree, we look down on people who need help. So what incentive do these people have to share their story, even though it would help us, if they think that they're going to come into the live and be attacked or start getting emails or DMs to be attacked by fellow Americans for needing help? I can't tell you how many times we've been told, much less people have told the veterans we're working with, that, you should have worked harder. You should have done this. You should have done that. What are you doing wrong? When it's not always the case. Yes, we know that there are always going to be people who learn how to work the system. There are always going to be people who are dishonest. There are always going to be people who figure out the loopholes and who get by. We know this. But 90+% of these men and women and their families fall into the opposite category and shouldn't be punished because of that. So they don't need to come and tell their story because they don't want to deal with the humiliation which comes with that.
One of the things that I have realized as I'm growing and learning through this whole process is I'm not the only one going through this. And it's easy for all of us to talk about how we overcame the situation, we persevered, we got through it. Here's my steps on what I did, blah, 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 blah. Anybody can do that. But we want to hear what you're going through during that time when you felt like you couldn't do it anymore. When you were looking for all of those programs, looking for help, how did you feel? Personally, how did you feel when you came to that situation? And now, look, here we are. We've sacrificed so much, and now We're looking for resources just so we can get by. You see what I mean? So how does that feel? It doesn't feel good, right? What you mentioned earlier, you said we got pride. We have been told to just keep going, persevere, and move forward. But at the end of the day, you're talking about millions of families right now who are about to be foreclosed upon. This is a real issue. This is a real time, real issue that we're talking about right now. You see what I mean? And I don't think that these individuals who are about to go through this process should nothing get extended. I don't believe that those individuals have anything to feel shameful about or anything when at the end of the day the system just did not work out how it was intended to do. You see what I mean? The system was just not working like it was meant to do. And we shouldn't be mad at the individual for asking for assistance to try to get out of what the system failed to help them out with. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's like one of the biggest things. And that's why we try every live to tell them, we need you to step up. You're safe here. We have people who are watching the lives, who are going to mod, who will take care of the problems, but that we need them to step up and tell their story. Because if you look at it from my point of view, I have been doing this since 2014. Every week I have on auto email to the politicians locally for our state. So they get it every week and they choose to ignore it because there's nothing in it for them. So we need them to share their story. So it's not just me telling them this is the problem, here is the proof, these are the facts. The more families that stand up, the further this is going to go. We're not getting anything out of this financially. This is us trying to help them to get justice.
I I want to know, and because it seems like you're working really hard, your organization is working extremely hard to reach out to the representatives to make some changes, demand changes, right? But what you're talking about is about a million or so families who are about to be affected by this. How can we reach out to these families and get them to sign this petition as well? Has anybody reached out to these families who are about to go through this to sign this petition? Because it would seem to me like if they're about to go through this and need assistance, why wouldn't they be the key people to sign this petition? And if so, how can we reach them?
So yes, I mean, I have a list of them that I'm in contact with. They have my direct phone number. So even if it's 2 in the morning, I will get up and I will answer text messages because this is a scary thing for them. I can't even imagine with them having, most all of them have young kids, what they're feeling right now. But we need to reach out to more. And the way that we're going to do that is by creating a better social media campaign with materials that we can get for free to be able to download them, where people can go and download so that they can help us get it out in their individual communities. We can't do this by ourselves. We have to rely on the people that come into the lives and who are part of the subscription services and the email highlights. Those are the ways that we're going to have to use better in a much better way. But we only have a small group of people who do this, and everybody on the board is already got a job full time and they're doing everything they can to help. So we need to get a hold of more people to be able to do the same thing. We can't cover every state. We're trying, but we can't. So we need to figure out how to create a better marketing campaign for social media where we can park flyers, brochures, stats, facts, press releases, introductions, and put them there so that we can get it for them to download and be able to get out into them so that we can get access to these families. The blog at keepourvetshoused.org, they're going to have to go through the bazillions of them because there's so much information. But every time stats change, facts change, or we get permission from a family member to highlight them, we put it in the blog. That is the one-stop shop for all of that. I have an older blog that was sitting on Blogger that I refused to take down because it was where I originally started. I'm going to bump that link up. all of that information is sitting there. The only thing that has really changed is the number of families impacted, and they can even find that on the NPR website, where they did interviews for some of the more popular veterans that were losing like ranches and things. But my blog is like where all of that stuff is just parked, and that's pretty much why I leave it there. I'm going to use that to generate like visual flyers so people can see charts and things to see how much because basically the VA is, what happens is when these moratoriums are in place, right? When a loan that's defaulted on goes into forbearance, it ceases to exist to the media. So they don't have to count that in their stats. So over the last 18 to 24 months, we have seen a decline in foreclosures because people's defaulted loans were in forbearance. They're not showing. So of course they're going to gloat over that, and they're going to say that they solved the problem. If they go January 1st, it's a whole different story, but by then it's too late. So we need to get that information out there. My readership has gone way down on the blog, so we do need to do better at getting people driven to there. But I want to create a separate kind of like parking spot where they can just easily find that information up at the front, because basically we've done this for so long. It's just kind of like at the very beginning of the blog. So you kind of have to use the search tool and find it. But we do have to organize, which Skulls is our web designer and our webmaster. We have to restructure that so that that information can be easier to access. And by having a downloads folder where they can download like the flyers that have those stats on it, that will make it 1,000 times easier.
Is something that I believe maybe asking for some volunteers and expressing, you know, the nature of this business, and maybe there's something, even if it's like through an email, that we can set up. Hey, if you're a veteran who is going through this situation, please email us this, and can you sign this petition, because this is what we're doing to help you, and try to promote that to encourage some individuals to sign either the petition or advocate on behalf of what you're doing. Because I do see, if we're trying to gain 1,000 signatures by the weekend or by next week or whatnot, it's going to come off somewhat stressful. But if there's a way that we can reach the individuals that you're saying are about to be affected by this, where's somewhere that we can look to see some of the individuals or lenders or something that might be going through this, like for instance, like the numbers that you're getting, how can we get access to some of these numbers and try to help? Thank you. So you said it was keepourvetshouse.org. That's where the blog is, correct? And they can find that information there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in helping, we're looking for right now something that you guys can do. It's absolutely free. And there's a couple different ways that you guys can do this. But right now, one of the easiest ways, if you go to my profile, you click on my profile, go to my link tree, the third option on there, it says sign this petition. And you're going to see the bill that Amy has drawn out there that she's drafted, so we can actually push this to the representatives that can actually make change in the necessary ways and put the pressure on the lenders. Because I think this is what this comes to, is the representatives and the senators at the state level have to implement something that the lenders will not foreclose upon the veterans if they have a VA loan, etc., or whatever, if they fall into this category. I think that's what we're trying to go through right now, right? Am I correct?
Yes, we need them to put something nationally across the board, a stop. What we're demanding is them to do an investigation into all of these mortgages so that we can have an outside view, who is not a member of Congress, who is not a lender, look at each and every one of these mortgages and make sure that things are up to par, because I guarantee you almost all of them have the unethical practices, the deceit, the missing paperwork, the failure to offer various programs to these people. We have a list. We just recently had a couple that we know this to be true. And because they don't know that they have any legal rights, and because it's so expensive to just sue your lender, they can't. There's no out for them. So we're demanding that they do a cease to all of it, and not just do another forbearance, but we're asking for the stop on it. I even did their job for them. Besides writing the bill in entirety and giving it a name that represents what we're doing, I even created the group name, and what the group is supposed to do, which it needs to be made up of veterans whose knowledge is around VA mortgages, and only veterans should be in charge of this group. They are literally going to be the median between lenders and investors and these homeowners, because we have no representation at all in Congress. None. Not that I'm not saying we don't have veterans in Congress. I'm saying no one in Congress is versed in VA mortgages, so they're not protecting our rights to own a home. The programs aren't there, not because necessarily that they don't care, but because they don't need that they have to have them there to protect these veterans.
Have you or anybody in your organization contacted the Veteran Affairs for assistance in this situation?
So we are kind of prohibited from contact with the VA because I did contact them. Actually, they contacted us 11 times in the very beginning when we first fell behind. And I called them back and I asked them what our rights were, what they could do. And so this is the problem with the VA. They don't do anything with mortgages. They only help get you qualified to use your benefits, but they have no power over the mortgages themselves. They literally will tell you that they act as an in-between between the lender and you. They can suggest strongly that they work with you, but they're not even really actually keeping record of any of this. We got passed off to 3 different representatives who were supposed to oversee our case. We never got anything back from them. They just wrote us off. That was it. Then months later, when we were already thinking we were done, we had this strange phone call from this woman who got chewed out by Dave because he's done. He had had enough by then. She literally told him they should not have put us on the forbearance because we should be out of our house since we couldn't afford our home and pay our bills. She said that to a veteran. And I was like, I grabbed the phone and I said, this is why veterans snap, because you're dealing with someone who's in crisis mode and you're not offering anything but judgment, judging us because you think you know how we got in this position. That was it. That was the last time that we had talked to the VA. I've called for statements for things. I've contacted their press. Nothing. They won't respond to anything. We've had so many veterans come in and say they have been advised to let the house go. It's not worth the fight. And that once they're homeless, they can get vouchers. If that is the advice that they're giving out, there is something really wrong with the VA. There is something really, really wrong.
That that's um that's that's very scary. I I'm not sure what it is like in your state with the VA, but I know my state here in Washington. I live in Washington State, and they do have veteran housing assistant program here. Um, that they try to work, hand in hand with the veteran themselves, get them the resources that they need, etc. But this is after they've already been kicked out and are already on the street. So what you're saying is there's no in between from when you're about to get the foreclosure notice as a VA loan recipient. Um, there's no advocacy from the VA once you get to that point. They'll help you once you're already out and on the street with vouchers or prior to that, but they won't help you once they've told you that you're about to be foreclosed upon or you no longer qualify for this, this, and this. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so I forget that a lot of people don't understand what's been going on. So every state has amazing nonprofits and VA overseen programs with VSO and advocates once you are already homeless. So I'm not saying that. I hope people don't come at me for that. I didn't mean that, because we even have that. The problem is we don't have anything to help homeowners before they get to that point. We don't want it to be a crisis where we're just letting these veterans become veterans after serving the country and filter out to homelessness just because we don't want to have to deal with it. So yeah, there's no advocacy from the moment that they're 2 months behind, which is when the VA should send out a notification saying, how can we help you? Here's your options. What do we need to do for you? These are your options. Nobody does that. We didn't even get that, because there's nothing between that and homelessness. It's just assumed you just have to be homeless to be helped. And even then, not every state has the quality of VA programs and help that is available to so many like your state. My state has got some, but not nearly as much. But that's because our population of homeless veterans is so high. A lot of states that have the smaller numbers of VA vets on the street, they can better manage. But the states that are like having to deal with so many are struggling with the resources and things, and the information is just not getting out.
So if a veteran gets their notice, they're about to be foreclosed upon, they have a VA loan, there's no extra help from the VA outside of you becoming homeless. We can help you get reset and put back into play. Um, what I would like to see is, if we're reaching out to the representatives on this, then they need to have a third party agency act as a an advocate for them, and utilize and give some of these resources to prevent them from being foreclosed upon in the first place. Other than just halting the loans or something, there has to be some kind of program or monies or something available for individuals that are in this situation. And at this point, we cannot pretend and act like there's not available money. The government is flashing the amounts of money that they're throwing away to show us just what they're not doing for the American citizen. And I don't think anybody can dispute that at this point, especially on the last few cycles of what this current administration is doing before they leave. We're seeing another $1 billion today, I think it was, or recently, just got given to Africa for humanitarian aid. We've recently seen the crisis in Ukraine go on, and so much money. So it's not an issue of if there's money available. We know that there's money available. What about the humanitarian aid right here in our cities for these 1 million plus veterans that you're talking about that are about to be thrown out to the streets? And then this is a real crisis that we're going into. You're telling us we got about 2 weeks, right, to try to make some noise for them to at least put a pause or a halt before they go into the winter holiday break. And we're talking about our representatives and our senators and stuff. So if we have such a short amount of time to rile up and make some noise, it's going to take the help of every single person viewing this, every single person that is going through this struggle. Encourage them to sign this petition and make a difference. These are things that you can do absolutely for free, ladies and gentlemen. All you have to do is go to my profile, go to her profile, Keep Our Vets Housed, sign this petition to let them know that we will not allow this to partake and continue. These are things that our veteran families need, but they also have an issue of coming forward and asking for the assistance. We talked about that in the beginning session here about the pridefulness and how it feels to actually ask for help. But at the end of the day, we know that there is money, we know that there's stuff available. We have to demand that they use these resources for our American citizens, our veterans who have sacrificed more than enough. Okay, who have sacrificed more than enough. And when you talked about that part earlier, you look at these individuals who have sacrificed 20 plus years or less, depending on their injuries or whatnot, for the military. They qualify for this loan, which they think they're going to be taken care of should things get rough. And then we add on top of it COVID, which threw a wrench in everything, and people were still expected to pay their loans, even though they weren't going to work. Okay? Even though they were told they cannot go to work. You are forbidden from going to work right now. That did happen in areas. We can't act like that did not happen. And people fell behind. And because of what you're telling me, as of January 1st, 2025, if we don't do something right now, there's going to be about 1 million plus veterans who will possibly be thrown out to the streets. That's not an exaggeration.
I wish it was an exaggeration. I really do, because when it was just a few 100,000, when we were looking at the numbers by the end of May, it was a little horrifying then. But it is absolutely disgusting that we throw so much money, we're talking billions and billions of dollars, into aid for other countries to be the big brother and the Band-Aid, when we can't even afford to keep our veteran families in their homes, which is cheaper than letting them funnel out into the streets, which cost taxpayers 3 times, not even twice as much, 3 times as much. The answer is we need nonprofits and we need organizations, even if it has to be unbiased third-party organizations, to have grants available so that we can go ahead and get access to the money and be able to help them get caught up before it becomes a serious problem. Because 1 or 2 payments behind, we can help. Anything over that, it just becomes too much with all the late fees and with all of the legal fees that they tack on trying to take the house in the first place. Auctions aren't free. I saw our bill for 17 times our house was on the chopping block. 17 times we had auction notices posted on the door. 17 times we had our address and names posted in the newspaper telling people the auction was going to take place. And 17 times my son thought, oh my God, we're going to be out on the street. In order to stop that, we have to change the legislation and regulation, but we also need nonprofits to have access to the money that they're throwing around, so that we can help them, because intervention early on and information is more powerful than putting all of the money into homeless programs, which we definitely need. But there's more than enough money in this country to be able to do both, so that we can keep them from funneling out onto the streets. Yeah, January 1st is doomsday.
Have you heard of the new policies and things that are available for individuals and nonprofits like yourselves? I believe President-elect Donald Trump and RFK have something where you can actually email them some of the policies and things that you're thinking of and see how they can actually help for communities and things like that. Have you done or taken a look at that by any chance?
Yes, and a lot of nonprofits are actually being able to do that. In order for us to do it, we have to have our 501c3. So the sooner I get this paperwork filed, the better. Once you have 501c3, you get to have access to those programs. And there are some really awesome new ones that are going to be coming up that are specifically for that. There are even corporations who are doing the pay it forward or give it forward, whatever each one has called it, that are doing the same thing. So we have people that are trying to step up and help, but because new nonprofits have to know that they have to have 501c3 in order to actually get access to that, many of these, like mine, are small and they're not going to let us have access to that, which makes sense because you'd want to be vetted and you want to make sure that you have records and accountability, and that's important. So that's why this is so important, that we keep doing what we're doing in addition to filing the paperwork. But yes, once we file, that is exactly what we're doing.
Gentlemen, if you guys are just joining in on the show, we have Amy here from Keep Our Vets Housed. She is the founder of the organization working with one goal and one goal only, and that is to keep our veterans in their homes. She's acting as an advocate because there is no actual advocate between the veteran and being thrown out to the streets once they get that foreclosure notice, ladies and gentlemen. So, the topic of the day is how can we help our veterans and families that are out there so that way once they get that notice they know that one, they're not alone and there's something that we can do. American Jedi, I see that you have a story that you would like to share with us here on this show. What I'm going to need you to do is reach out to Becca. She's down here. You can send her an email or a message, okay, and schedule a time to actually come on my show and share your story and all that, or you can reach out to Keep Our Vets House and tell your story as well, as her show is dedicated specifically to that. Okay. One thing I do not do is just have random people I don't know just come into the box, just so we can keep everything on flow and on track and whatnot. But I do want to dedicate you specific time to share your story if you would like to share with me on mine or with Keep Our Vets House. I'm sure she would love to have you on her live as well. So just keep that in mind. These are options available for you. All you have to do is ask. Okay. But definitely want to get your story out there as well because, again, there's a lot of people out there that have gone through this same situation and would like to know, well, how did you get through it? And when you were feeling at your lowest, when you got that notice, you're about to be thrown out to the street or you're on the street and you feel to your lowest, what is it that got you through it? Those are the things that people can connect with and want to understand because um, this is absolutely insane that this is coming to 2 weeks and we have to try to rack up as much noise as we can just to get them to listen, or else we're going to have what seems to be about a million plus homes up for sale. And that's not okay because I know in my community alone, they are busing individuals here and giving them free housing, and they're not vetting them from anywhere. They're giving them, this is stuff that the taxpayers are paying for right now. And I have to go to these places every week. I have to go to these places and I see these individuals that are here, and a lot of them are coming from out of state, some out of country, and they're getting the free assistance and help. But you're not seeing any of that same effort being put forward for the veterans specifically. Once they get that notice, it's pretty much, well, figure it out, right? But once you do get on the street, we can get you some vouchers and get you a food bag, and we'll try to help you get, restructured and whatnot. And that seems to me like they're trying to create an issue so they can try to become the heroes or the saviors here at the end. That could just be my perspective on it, but it seems like they're allowing an issue to persist, knowing that there's an issue out there that they could fix, but there's no advocacy there for you. So what I want to know is that if there is a way that we, because I am a 501c3, but other 501c3s in general can get in contact with somebody at the VA or even at the level to where brokers and bankers and lenders can actually hear these stories because they're not going to care. All they see is a list of houses that are about to be foreclosed upon, and they're all VA loans, but there's no advocacy. None of their stories are getting shared. We have to be able to touch and reach those families that are affected by this and let them know that they're not alone and that we do want to help. We should be doing something to give them a little bit of hope. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this and you're wondering, how can I help? I don't have money. I don't have anything really, but I want to help. I need to do something. Well, one, you can share. This is absolutely free. Sharing is absolutely free. The link to the petition that you guys can sign, it's available in my link tree. Just click on my profile, click on Keep Our Vets House profile. The links are there. All you have to do is sign the petition. It's absolutely free. And that is how we can tell our representatives that we care about our veterans and their families. We don't want them out to the streets. I know it's frustrating that we have to do this. I know it's frustrating that we're even in this situation. but it can be any one of us can go through this, not just veterans alone, but any one of us can fall into this situation. It just takes one bad accident or move. One emergency can throw everything for a loop. So we have to keep in mind that there's no shame in asking for help. We have to be uh, able to ask for help and understand that any one of us can go through this situation. Okay? Every single one of us put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time. No one of us are better than the other. All of us have to eat, sleep, shit, and try to get through the day. So if we can let our families, our veteran friends and families know that we're here for them and we're going to sign our name and let our representatives know that this has to stop. We can't just allow 1,000,000+ veterans who have served their country to be thrown out to the streets and adding to this situation and population of homelessness. And then say, well, we have free housing now. You can just live here in the slums. That's exactly how the ghettos were formed in the Bronx and everything else. That's exactly how those were formed. Government, low-income housing, given to you by the taxpayers. And then there's no accountability, and we saw what happened. There's no reason that we are letting this happen now. But I'm watching it happen in my own city here in Olympia, Lacey. I'm sure it's happening in a lot of your cities too. But there's no reason we've gotten to that point when we have our brothers and sisters in arms that absolutely have sacrificed everything. And now they're about to be thrown out to the streets. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this? And if there's something that you guys are willing to do, at least signing a petition and sharing it is something I believe that you can do to make a huge difference. Help. Amy. So ladies and gentlemen, it's been really fun and nice hearing this story, Amy, but I want to let you know you're not in this alone. We're going to keep trying to push and do whatever we can to keep this petition going and raise awareness for this situation, because I don't believe that this is something that needs to be overlooked. There's a lot of situations, obviously, that shouldn't be overlooked, but this is just tragic. There's about to be 1,000,000+ families thrown out to the streets, and nobody's talking about it while they're about to go into their holiday weekends and all that. But they have time to help humanitarily for all of these other places. So we'll get into that part another time, ladies and gentlemen. In the meantime, if you're looking for a way to help right now for absolutely free, all you have to do is sign the petition at Keep Our Vets Housed, or you can go to my profile. All right, you can click on the link tree. The third option on there says sign this petition. It's a brand new petition available for you guys, and we could use your help. All right, it's absolutely free. And this is something that we're trying to get 1,000 signatures on before our bigwigs go off to their holiday break. Okay. We believe that if we can get enough signatures and make them listen to this situation, we can actually have them halt or pause something before January 1st takes effect and we have families about to be thrown out to the streets. It's not easy, but this is a mission that Amy and her team is dedicated to, and they will continue to work hard, but they can't do it by themselves, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're looking for a way to help, you need something to do, you're looking for a way to help, maybe you want to do more than just sign the petition, you want to reach out to Keep Our Vets Housed and Amy and her team, you guys can email them, okay? KOVH, is email them at kovhfoundation@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get in contact with her or her team. All right, that's kovhfoundation@gmail.com. Real easy. Think about it. Keep Our Vets Housed, KOVH foundation@gmail.com. All right. Do not DM Amy directly on TikTok or nothing like that, because it's just not going to get to her. It's probably like myself. You've got too many weirdos sending you random stuff and videos, and it's going to get lost in the thread of stuff. So if you're actually interested in helping Keep Our Vets Housed, email. All right. Emails come through. Make sure you do it. All right. Get in contact. Find out how you can help. But right now, signing the petition is absolutely free. Amy, did you want to say any last things before you take off?
I want to thank you and Becca for continuously stepping up and helping us with all of this stuff. It's not easy. My family is on the chopping block. I mean, I can't even express, like, every day I am so hyper focused on trying not to have a breakdown and wanting to quit. Roger will be the first and Pappy to tell you I have dang near quit 3 times because it is just ridiculous that I keep hitting roadblocks. And it's not as simple as just starting a GoFundMe like people think and getting the donations and paying off your house, because it doesn't work that way. People just don't, one, they don't have that kind of money to help everyone, and 2, they don't feel like they need to, because that should be the job of the programs that don't exist yet. We've been doing this for months. We've been begging for help for months, trying to get people to step up back in May when we were telling people that this was going to be a problem if they didn't help. And we kept carrying on and doing it, and we can only do so much. So we need people to step up and help. It's an everyday job where we don't want thanks, we want boots on the ground. And you guys are one of the only real groups that we support because of that. You go out, you do what you do, and you show through transparency what you guys do. We couldn't do it without you, because you keep going, we keep going, and we have this work kind of relationship where we kind of feed off each other. You're so good in front of the camera. You're so good with people and with chat, and people love hearing you talk. So everything that you have done to help us has been absolutely amazing. And of course, Becca is just a breath of fresh air. She's absolutely amazing. And I feel bad because she kind of helps us at the same time when I need someone to help me out or just cry on a shoulder. She's been right there. So we want to thank you guys, not only just for doing that, but also for the coffee, because we every live are bragging and begging people to go get the amazing coffee and to support you guys as well, because you guys have been such a huge asset to us. This is a lot of work that has to get done, and this is just the beginning, but we want to thank you guys.
You guys heard it here first, right here live. Amy from Keep Our Vets Housed, you're absolutely welcome. And the reason that we continue to work with you is because, like I told Becca a while back, I just want to be associated with organizations and people that are actually doing stuff, not just talking about it, but actually trying to do stuff. And that's what makes a difference. And what it seems like right now is it's not even just a money issue that needs to be brought up. And I'm going to let you go here in just a second, but it's not just a money issue here. What it is we need signatures and letters and people to actually stand up and say enough is enough. Reach out to the representatives, reach out to the senators and tell them, hey, this is what needs to get changed. That's what I'm hearing needs to happen more than just, hey, how can we help, or a GoFundMe or whatnot. We actually need letters, people talking, people organizing and telling the senators and representatives what we demand.
That is what we need. We need people to be in their communities, stepping up. We're giving people the information and the opportunity to read the blogs, ask the questions while we're live. That we are more than ready every single live that I'm live to take the questions and clarify things and tell people where to go and show them the stats and the facts. And the families are coming to us. We just have to work through all the legal mumbo jumbo, because some of them are in bankruptcy. They can only share certain parts of it. We need people. It's not even really just about the signatures. We need them to share that information to their representatives, because they don't talk to just anyone. They deal with their communities, the people that they represent. So this is a unified effort. This is a national crisis that we need people across the nation to step up, share the information, send it out to them, and get it to their local representatives. That is how this stops. It's not about the money as much as it is about the changes that have to happen. And that's why we need people to help us help these families. And we do that by sharing the information and working together.
Well, thank you so much for everything that you're doing, Amy. And Pappy helping her out as her right hand, keeping her going. I just got to say, knowing that there's actual individuals that are just trying to make a difference, that leaves a lot of hope. For a lot of people that are out there, it leaves a lot of hope, because it seems like there's a lot of things going out there that you just feel hopeless, and you have to keep going. And the only thing we're not allowed to do is quit. So don't quit, Amy. Okay? Live, quit. We're going to wrap it up here. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you to Keep Our Vets Housed for sharing this story and how we can help. Again, ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in helping keep our veterans in their homes, not thrown out to the streets, we could use your help. Go to my link tree, go to the petition, sign it. It's the third option on my link tree. It says sign this petition. It's absolutely free, but we could use your help. So big thank you to Keep Our Vets Housed for sharing the story. Be on the lookout for some new videos and stuff out there expressing the petition and how important it is for you guys to help do your part. Thank you. Good night. Stay safe, and we will see you guys in the not so distant future. Peace.